Day 5, believe it or not. How did I get so little done in day 5? I'm on chapter 4, day 5. Nah. I feel like I added an extra day in there somewhere. Editing is always, it takes so much longer than I thought it would. I finally got some ramen noodles yesterday. Because, yeah, I was just like so brain fogged from lack of nutrients. I think I have to take some kind of vitamin if I'm going to be on these pills all the live long day. Hold on, let me see if I even restream channels dashboard. Cool. Seems like we're all right. We're live on all 5 platforms. I have to pay $20 to stream to Facebook Live and Twitter, and nobody from there chats. So, wait, somebody highlighted me in hashtag LGBTQ. Uh, That's when they Freenode quit. I just took over a bunch of channels there with names that would be contentious, and then the operators came in. They're like, "You can't have all these channels. You're like squatters," and they abuse their operator powers. That was Pancake. What's going on, Pancake? How's the dialysis going there? Yeah, what are you getting dialyzed for? You got that leukemia, or I'm just trying to think of what would cause somebody to get. You don't have to say shit if you don't feel like it. Just say it's for fun. But let me see. All right, let me let some people on Discord know as well. V boom. I'm lucky I'm not banned on YouTube on this account, unlike many others. Holla. Then let me just let fucking people know in this Discord. Maybe today I'll actually get off my ass and set up an auto notify so I don't have to message all these channels every time I go live and all this. Why do I have my bloody Valentine stuck in my head? That's terrible. Right, what do we got here? Kidney failure. Oh, Lord. None today, but I am not too well. Huh. What caused your kidneys to fail? Are they just like bad by default, like a bad alternator or something? Or is it contingent with some other thing? Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'm glad. I didn't even think about my kidneys functioning when I woke up today. I was like, I'm tired. Wow, my brain is moving slow. Maybe not public. That sounds like a suicide attempt to me, but I digress. But yeah, I didn't even think like, hey, my kidneys are working just fine. So that's one more thing. Hopefully yours will be up and running again soon. I don't know if that's how kidneys work, but I'm hoping it is. Let me see. Oh, Lord. Good God. Well, now I know, and I wish I didn't. I'm sorry to hear about that. There's a lot of weak motherfuckers out there in the world, and one of the key ways that you can see is that they attack people who can't defend themselves. So, yeah, come strapped in the future. Anyhow, like that sounds like good advice to me. Jeez, I'm sorry that everybody else can't see the discourse that's going on there. Good Lord. I will tell you on a related note that we don't have any tolerance for that in the channel where I spend most of my time. The most famous instance is that Slimer, who was beloved by all, just got into a bad way with OxyContins, and he started fucking up real bad. He was like selling all his articles and blowing off show times and stuff. And so finally, he and another member of our channel were like very publicly dating, and she bailed. She just wasn't hanging out and everything. And everybody was like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, why are you so upset?" And she like took up and moved all the way across the country. And it turned out that she had a 5-year restraining order against him for domestic violence. And the way that restraining orders, what I've come to learn is that TPOs and stuff like that, there's a high burden of proof. It's very rare to get a TPO that's like longer than 90 days or so, unless you have significant evidence of abuse. And she got like one for 5 years against this dude, which will expire pretty soon, actually. So she's got that to look forward to. But yeah, and then immediately we confronted him on the air, and he lied, and it just really it was like the Daryl Brooks trial, which I'm intimately acquainted with there. And finally, we told him like he couldn't come back until he had gotten forgiveness from all the people that he wronged. Let me see. Oh, that's fucked up. Oh man, I kind of wish that I had not axed, but yeah, man. I hope that all works out there, and hopefully the guy is dead or in hell by now. Yeah, yeah. I just if I were a woman in this country, I would have a gun in my purse all the goddamn time because there's too many crazy people out there. It's just you never know, you know. But I disagree. Oh Lord, open wounded lymphoma. Ugh, what is going on here? Wow, this gets worse and worse. All right. Well, your secret is safe with me. I never tell the chat about anything. All right. Today, I'm not going to get distracted like I did every other day that we were doing this. 13 years in jail to think about it. Gee, honestly, like the 13 years for somebody who like um, does major permanent damage to somebody, that's not enough. They ought to cut off his dick. I'm just saying. Or like chop off a hand at least. Jesus. Yeah. I'm getting correct. One of my stories actually has to do with the passage where you're meant to cut off the hand of a thief. And there are just like there are apologetics in Christianity. He didn't have much of one to cut off. Ooh. See, this is why I'm on good terms with all the IRC girls that I dated. You'll notice that none of them talk bad about my dick, and it's because I am not an asshole to them after the fact. At least I hope none of them do. If they do, don't tell me about it, because I'm living in a blissful paradise where everybody who sleeps with me is very satisfied at the outcome of it. If I'm wrong, I don't want to know. All right, let's get down to editing. So yesterday, no comment. Fuck me. All right. Anyhow, at least hopefully there's not like images floating around on the internet. Oh God, yeah. Don't abuse my illusions. I'm happy with things the way that they are. All right. So yesterday we got through chapter 3. Yes, I know exactly how girl IRC goes. I'm intimately acquainted because I used to be a woman, and that's why I have this fake gravelly voice and look like I just stumbled ass backwards out of a lesbian bar. So I know how girl chat goes. Anyhow, shout outs to the LGBTQI community right here. As you'll see, I am a proud dad. I don't have any children or whatever. I just am a proud leather dad. Ugh. Yeah. Someday all this joking around will make the leap from joking to reality, and I'll be like 80 years old flying out of the closet with like 8 kids at that point. Jesus. All right. All right, let's get to chapter 4. So chapter 4, what happened last chapter? So just recapping, this is a story about a group of bounty hunters that try to track down a legendary and mysterious figure for the princely sum of 100 golden ducats. It is a low fantasy. That means that there is very little magic or whatever involved, and most of the drama is going to revolve around interpersonal drama between the bounty hunters and their quarry. And some action and adventure and stuff too. We're not totally boring here. This I would call this kind of like a Call of the Wild, Jack London type situation. It's set in the frozen northern tundra, boreal forest, blah 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 blah. All right, so initially, we meet our bounty hunters, and they are confronted by the man offering the bounty, Lord Malorn Moraine of Skywark Keep, who turns out to be a crusty old man who won't even invite them inside for dinner. He scoffs at the idea that they could take down the legendary Three Wolf and they dicker with him and are turned away from the keep, empty-handed and angry. So, on their way down the mountain, they set up camp where they are ambushed by Three Wolf. Now, Three Wolf, who we have not heard much about yet, initially is sitting up in a tree preparing to ambush them, but they set up camp just short of the ambush spot. So he considers just shooting at them with his bow, killing a sentry or two, and then retreating, but decides instead he is sick and tired of murdering every rube that comes down the path looking for him. So he attempts to scare them off. And here we see the first incidents of the supernatural here. Three Wolf, with his witchy powers, communicates with a great murder of ravens, or a gigantic flock of crows, and has them attack the camp. These guys are asleep in their sleeping bags, and guards are posted and everything, and birds just start dive bombing them, pooping everywhere. Their camp is just shattered, and they wake up in the morning, and they're like, "Hey, we're following a witch." And two of the guys desert, and there's an argument between the remaining guys, and Flinzer, who is our protagonist, I guess, of the story, is able to keep the remaining 5 people together, and he says the other guys will be back because they've got nowhere else to go. Cue to the next chapter, we see Three Wolf approach the proprietress of a pub and request that she poison the bounty hunters, just a little bit, not enough to kill them, just enough to sicken them. And she refuses. She's still mad at Three Wolf for some unnamed thing. And she says that she doesn't want her reputation being tarnished, that this is his problem, etc. She sends him away. And she starts to get into it, like, "Hey, what's the deal? You never asked me for help before." We can see that there's a relationship between them, and he says he's getting tired of killing all these dudes off. "Oh, good morning, Jira. Yeah, get some work done today." She says that he's tired of killing these guys off. You can see that there is some affection between the two of them, but it is not enough to bridge the gap of whatever dirt he did to her. So they proceed on. So now we cue to chapter 4. So chapter 3, the one we just talked about there, it is a little off key to me. So it's probably going to need a rewrite before we finish the story. But this next chapter, which I read last night, is kind of a similar thing. It's meant to be contrasting to that chapter. It works a little bit better, having read through it. So I think it's just chapter 3 that we'll need to rewrite. All right, if you have never been here before, here's a rundown on how these stories work. Every morning, I give the same spiel. So we are editing this novel, which is about 16,000 words long. It's not a novella. It's almost a novella. If it was 17.5, we would have a novella on our hands, and we may try to pad it out to that, or maybe just add in some new scenes and so forth. So as we're reading through, if you see an area where you're like, "Man, I wish you went more in depth there," or "That's too short," or whatever, that's a place where I can hop in and write my 3 more pages, which is each page is about 750 words, and then boom, I've got a novella on my hands. Also, if it doesn't need it, it's fine. We could have this at 15,000 words if we felt like it, because it's just going straight to KDP. So with this story, I will be not only editing it online, but I will also do the process of typesetting it online and hopefully designing the cover online. I'll talk through my process with all that shit. Maybe. I'd have to sanitize the computer I'm going to do it on. But so I'll try to walk through that too, so you can see like how typesetting works and how a cover works and how some of the design internals work and so forth. All right, so then the other part is that as we are editing, I give out points, right? Every edit that I am accepted. Oh, there's Big Brongulus. Every accepted edit, I will give out 1 point. So you can see that Bradius here is clearly in the lead. He has 11 points there. If you get any points at all, even a single point, I will put you in the credits of the book. Here is a book that we did it with, Zeros. I highly recommend everybody read it. People in the chat who have read it can comment on whether or not they think it's good. I think it fucking rules. And then here is the acknowledgments page right next to our epigraph. Shout out to Voltaire right there. And you can see here that the edit ace was Logic. So whoever gets the most points, which at this point, like catch up to Bradius quick, gets this scintillating and sensual editing ace hat. It's the kind of hat that you could wear to your wedding or the funeral of your worst enemy. It lets everybody know that you are the top gun when it comes to editing. Uh, I really like the edited ice hat. I wear it when I like go out to give out books and stuff like that. Okay, and so in terms of the tone of this book, we are shooting for something that is flowery and funny, and additionally, like we're looking to have a good time with our language here. So we're going to have a fair bit of alliteration and internal rhyming and puns and stuff like that. Those are all okay in the story. They're not okay if they get to the point where they are detracting from the story, or if they are unbelievable, or if our dialogue needs to be within the realm of plausibility, if at all possible. Right? I don't. That's why one of the reasons why we read things aloud is because you can really hear ham-fisted dialogue, like these big paragraph-long soliloquies and so forth. As you're reading them out, you're like, nobody would talk this way. Not even back in the day when they had like. This is kind of an interesting point. Like back in the day, it took so long to get everywhere that people would just be going through what they were going to say to each other in their minds over and over and over again. So a guy like walks 20 miles to get to this woman to tell her, hey, I'm upset that you cheated on me with our dog. And he would come up with like an entire paragraph, right, and just hit her with it. And then she would be thinking of a response, so she would hit him with a paragraph, and slowly they would peter out to where their prepared remarks were done, and they just were talking to each other as actual humans. So, an interesting oh, those white women. I always loved Jira. That's my favorite slur that's emerged in the last couple of years, by the way. I love that one. It's so demeaning and yet so hilarious. Who could resist? All right. How hard could it be to find a wolf? Not just a wolf. Oh, wait. Let's do it right. This is chapter 4. We are almost halfway through the story. Once we get through this chapter, we will be halfway done, which means that it will potentially take us 10 days to edit 3 Wolf. But we might blaze through today. I'm in a good mood, so let's try it out. How could it be so hard to find a wolf? Not just a wolf, but 3 of them. Not just 3 wolves, but 3 wolf. Presumably a being of flesh and blood who required food, drink, and diversion, the same as any other man. We needed E there. No. Oh, do I not have a cursor? Oh, no, come back, cursor. There we go. This is going to be a hard go if I had to do everything with keyboard shortcuts. All right. The same as any other man. Yet Flinzer's flock ranged all round the icy edge of Blue Fugue Lake and found no sign of man nor wolf. All right, we have to have around. We can't do around. Cursor went to heaven. I'm next, boys. I think we need a comma on nor. The comma in a compound sentence. Use a comma before and, but, or, nor, for, so, or yet to join 2 independent clauses into a compound sentence. Nor wolf. So this is not an independent clause. Nor wolf is heavily reliant on the clause before. Let's see. How do you use a comma with nor? They are not independent clauses. Correlating. Quick and dirty tips for nor. Yeah. Nor is conjoining 2 nouns. Yeah, that's where I was getting to, Brongulus. Yeah, that is not an independent clause. I was like I'm still going to give you a point there because the stamp of authority is useful to me. Yeah, how do you remember all this stuff, Bradius? I must have read through like 10 grammar manuals trying to and I'm so slow actually assimilating the data. It must just be something like the level of relative importance that I have assigned grammar in my mind is too low. Like it's not life and death for me because I'm such a lazy, loose person in general. Like when I speak in real life, it's not exact. All right, so Went and Blooducks were back. There was some joy in that. The boys crawled back on their bellies, exactly as Flinzer foresaw. Went had a fat. We need a comma here between fat and black. Although I don't want anything between me and fat blacks, but I digress. Oh, I shouldn't talk up those proclivities on the stream. What's up, Delpa? For those who were unschooled, I am often like happily sandwiched between several large ladies. That's how I unwind. Went had a fat black shiner that was surely Bloodux's ham-fisted handiwork. Oh, I love that. See, that one's not even cringe. It's just great. As well, there was a pain. I don't like as well there though. What do we have as well? We could put furthermore there. Let's see. Let's try it both ways. As well, there was a pained look in Bloodux's deep-set eyes. Furthermore, there was a pained look in Bloodux's deep-set eyes. Oh, I kind of like furthermore. Did we use that anywhere? No, in fact, we shouldn't have either there. We don't need it. All right. There was a pained look in Bloodux's deep-set eyes. Whatever Went said to... Whatever Went said and set Bloodux off gnawed at him still. It feels like there should be a comma somewhere within the sentence. Whatever Went said and set Bloodux off gnawed at him still. No, I don't see a comma. Let's see. Whatever Went said is the direct object. Well, not the direct object. I'm just using terms. I don't actually know what they mean. It didn't matter. Flinzer welcomed both men back and waved away their lame excuses. Reunited, they all wasted the rest of the day chasing their tails and then headed to town. All right. Reunited, they wasted the... Let's see. It didn't matter. Flinzer welcomed back both men and waved away their lame excuses. Reunited, they wasted the rest of the day chasing their tails and failed to find any sign of Three Wolf. The men headed to town. There we go. As sunset approached, they'd failed to find any sign of Three Wolf. They gave up and headed to town. Okay, cool. Flinzer called it a loss, and they turned towards town. Okay, this is just like a little bit cleaning up there. It didn't matter. Flinzer welcomed both men back and waved away their lame excuses. Reunited, they wasted the rest of the day chasing their tails. As sunset approached, they'd failed to find any sign of Three Wolf. Flinzer called it a loss, and they turned back towards town. And they turned around towards town. Okay, cool. I'm just adding like these little rhymes into here to keep it consistent throughout the story. So one of the things about trying to do something that is so weighted with all this internal rhyming and all this alliteration and stuff like that is that it's very hard to keep like a consistent flow of that as you're writing there. So each subsequent pass, we can add in just like a little bit more of that, which is essentially like how the Odyssey and these other epic poems were written. They would just recite over and over again, adding in more and more of this stuff and stripping out the bullshit until like the entire thing is nothing but insightful Telemachus and the Wine Dark Sea just repeated ad nauseum like a dubstep record. So that's what we're doing now. Why don't I name more of my characters Telemachus? Love that book, by the way. The Odyssey's rad. I think you have to wait until you're like 40 before you can read the Odyssey and really enjoy. Maybe somebody smarter than me can read it when they're younger, but I took a couple of stabs at it earlier, didn't like it, and then finally like I got old and could actually like sit down and read through that sucker, and this is the greatest. Also, I had to read up a lot more on Greek myth before any of that shit made sense to me, and I had to get. I highly recommend the Fagel translations. They're good. They're real good. I think I read the Iliad too. Yeah, I definitely read the Iliad. 'Cause I remember all that bullshit with Achilles and like the. Where did I read a? Okay. Well, anyhow, no distractions. There was far too little sun to be found at the possibly sardonically dubbed sunny side. Ooh. Possibly, does that even track within there? There was far too little sun to be found at the possibly sardonically. Possibly seems like the wrong number of. It seems like the wrong number of syllables. Let's see. Let's see if there's like an S word that starts with likely. Supposedly. Let's see. I should read those. Oh my god. Yeah, just definitely definitely I would start with the Odyssey, to tell you the truth. The Odyssey is just like a better story than the Iliad. The Iliad's great if you're like deep into Greek history and um just want to hear about a bunch of grown men squabbling and hubris and stuff. But really, the Odyssey was just the adventure for me was super rad, and like the character of Odysseus is just straight better. Odysseus rules. He's just like a very, and they do a better job too with like setting up. Hey, this thing's about to happen. His wife's resolve is like weakening and so forth, and it's like John Wick and all this stuff, they all trace back to the Odyssey, the original revenge, daddy's back type story. All right. Let's see. There was far too little sun to be found at the possibly sardonically. So what I want is, I want something that means like, wait, seemingly? There was far too little sun to be found at the seemingly sardonically dubbed sunny side. Ooh. There was far too little sun to be found at the seemingly sardonically dubbed sunny side. You want there to be a D, actually, there. I'm not going to change the name of the town, though. The Lakeside Tavern was run by a wide, blue-eyed woman who offered a lagniappe shot of maple molasses moonshine with every other tankard. So lagniappe I'm not sure if it's originally French or if it's just one of those straight Cajun things, but it's like a bonus, like something you get extra. So I like this quite a bit. The Lakeside Tavern was run by a wide, blue-eyed woman who offered a lagniappe shot of maple molasses moonshine with every other tankard. It was a slow night at the inn, so she sat with them and matched them, drink for drink. And we're just stealing this from Indiana Jones. The syrup-thick liquor coated the throat and clouded the mind. A wise old-timer by the hearth. So I know why I used hearth here. A wise old-timer by the fire cautioned them to take it slow with the swill. It's Dwayne. But Flinzer's flock of fools dined like swine and quaffed like sailors. So I don't like that we're using Flinzer's flock. Yeah. But Flinzer's crew dined like swine and quaffed like sailors. All right, this is quite a sentence. A wise old-timer by the fire cautioned them to take it slow with the swill. But Flinzer's crew dined like swine and quaffed like sailors. From time to time, a man needed to get rip-roaring drunk and make an utter ass of himself. Okay. So I'm much happier with like the tenor of this thing here. We might even just remove chapter 3, right? Because it doesn't establish that much, except to we'll get into it later. Flinzer awoke the next day in a strange bed with a banging hangover. And so this is a banging hangover. In the dim light, he recognized the shapely silhouette of the pub's proprietress. Oh my God, that's bad. To his relief, she wasn't angry with him or himself. Oh no, that's not what the words say. To his relief, she wasn't angry with him or herself. Didn't even ask for money. Okay, this is a new sentence. Cool. Okay, so Brongulus says quaffed is one of those words that makes me want to vomit. It's a bad word. You can only use it with like potions and tankards. But yeah, I think quaffed like sailors is it's evocative. I'm not taking it out. Oh. What there should be like a word for misophonia, but with words that you read, where you just immediately close the cover of the book and throw it in the garbage. I was trying to read. Hold on, let me find. This is critical that we do it here. So what was I trying to read the other day? Let's see. I was trying to read Aching God by Mike Shell, which some so this asshole is doing the same nonsense that I am. Auric woke from disturbing dreams, the bed sheets disagreeably damp with perspiration. And then like I read, that's like the first line after his prologue. I closed the book and I think he left the abashed badger and I was done. Like poison that hits some sensor in your bowels and makes your whole body go absolutely nuts. So this is like the first line of his story. He has like this bullshit prologue. It's supposed to be a roguelike, so this is why I'm trying to get this. Auric woke from disturbing dreams, the bed sheets disagreeably damp with perspiration. Margaret lay at the end of the bed, big dark. Well, the problem is that he is serious with his story. There's no indication that this is meant to be a goof at the beginning of it, which I have included in the story. Like I let the reader in, like, no, hey, you are in on this joke with me. We're gonna do this, right? But this one is written in like a serious tenor. So just having all that stuff just makes me like, am I really going to read through 400 pages of this? So it also could be that my story is just as insufferable and I am wrong for making fun of this dude. I'm going to take another crack at his story. With fantasy stuff, you really have to give a guy like the first quarter of the book to do his establishment, or you'll just miss out on a lot of good books. Like a lot of these guys, it's their first novel and they don't know what they're doing. No, I did leave out the abashed badger. Although I thought it would be funny, but so anyhow, it was not good for me to read that line and then just immediately shut the book. But we really do need some kind of word for like a turn of phrase that is so egregious that you immediately close the book and never pick it up again. If we coin a phrase here, we could become famous. So. Okay, cool. So if we come up with something like that, and be some word like syzygy, something needlessly. Wait, hold on. Let's go to Latin for this. This is important. Oh no, this is mortiferum venenum verbum. Yeah. Venenum sententia. Okay. A Zizzler. Oh, oh, fuck me. Yeah, Zizzler is it could be up there. I don't think I would have to be more legendary for like Chuck Tingle type shit to get away with that. But the Zizzler adds a little zazz. Flinzer awoke the next day. I don't why are we doing? Flinzer woke the next day in a strange bed with a banging hangover. In the dim light, he recognized the shapely silhouette of the pub's proprietress. This is bad. I will agree. Misographia? Yeah. Instead of misography, I like it because it sounds like misandry or misogynia or whatever. Misography. What does this mean? Urban Dictionary. Incorrect spelling? Misogamy. Hating marriage. Ooh. I like it. All right. What's the Latin for phrase? All right, we're getting too far afield in this whole thing here. To his relief, she wasn't angry with him or herself. So I like um this little turn where she's both not angry with him and not angry with her, which I wouldn't have thought to put that in before I had whored myself out to the entire city of New York City. But I like that it shows like a little insight for the Flinzer character. She didn't even ask him for money. Wonder of wonders. She rose with a sway in her step and set to fixing breakfast. Flinzer must have acquitted himself reasonably well. He smiled in spite of the hurt in his head. Under all that rust, there was iron yet. So this, I like this ball of ecoil. Yeah, Urban Dictionary, that Jira. Oh. I guess ipecac syrup would be the thing that's supposed to. What is it that? Oh, I know this word too. There's a word for something that provokes an emetic. Yeah, yeah. It's a verbal emetic on the printed page, which causes the reader to expel the book from their life. Oh, yeah, I like it. Um, all right, so I do like this paragraph right here. This thing says a lot about this character, and it like shows some sensitivity within this guy who, in the first chapter, we're primarily established. Why is this microphone so wobbly? Cut it out right here. All right, anyhow, it's like dancing. All right, I'm gonna have to shore this up with some plumber's tape because I don't like things that are wobbling. I could anyhow. Oh, you can see the ADHD setting in. We had focus, but we don't. But this is a good spot for this character. I want him to come out as like a little bit more wise and sensitive than you might otherwise think here. He's patterned more on Odysseus than Achilles. Although this is not in any way like an Odyssey type story. From long habit, Flinzer scanned his surroundings for signs there might be trouble. Okay, I don't like scanned his surroundings. From long habit, Flinzer glanced around. From long habit, Flinzer glanced around for signs there might be trouble. From long habit, Flinzer glanced about. Um, about is like a little bit more haphazard. I think around is better. More alliteration? All right, I'll give that a try, Jerome. Don't read too far ahead. From long habit, Flinzer glanced around for signs there might be trouble. The way she'd taken after him seemed like she might be getting back at somebody, a husband or some such. From um, from the way she'd taken after him, it seemed like she might be getting back at somebody, a spouse or some such, a husband or some such. I don't think spouse significantly improves it. And we need the gendered husband here to evoke the feeling that like there might be jealousy and like a fight here. Glanced about for glimmers of trouble. Oh Lord. Uh, yeah, glimmer. We used glimmer earlier in the story. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion in terms of getting cramming in more words that are alliterative, but yeah, I do want husband over spouse there, and I think we use glimmer in the chapter before, so I don't want to like laden or laden down. I don't want to have too much glimmering in the book. This is not Twilight, but uh, but yeah, keep the suggestions to like cram in stuff coming because we will put it in there. We are editing this to make it worse when really. Uh, From the way she'd taken after him, it seemed like she might be getting back at somebody, a husband or some such. Again, he was pleasantly surprised. Though a great many crates and casks had accumulated, the one-room cottage was still far too tidy for a man to be involved. Dried flowers and lace, everything in its right place. Ooh. Okay. We're so while you're right that is rightful place would work there. This is this is just like a quick Radiohead nod. Everything in its right place. Um, I try to cram in as many song titles as I can to see. They're just in every book. Like all right. Though a great many crates and casks had accumulated, the one-room cottage was still far too tidy for a man to be involved. There were dried flowers and lace, everything in its right place. The woman was ample and going to gray, but Flinzer liked it that way. Through the inkblots of his memory, he remembered her throwing her. Oh, wait, oh Lord! Through the inkblots of his memory, he remembered her, comma. He remembered her throwing her head back as she laughed. What was her name? Liline, he rasped. Oh shit. Um. Liline, he rasped. Why, he's alive. Welcome back, Sir Flint of Fenwick. Flinzer winced. If he'd invoked his long-revoked knighthood, it meant he'd gotten far drunker than he thought. Thy beauty drew me back from death, he crooned to cover his discomfort. Flattery is for slatterns. And this is two uses of slatterns, but they're both from the same slattern. Ooh, comma for why he's alive. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. Bam. Banging it out here. 13th. Why, he's alive. Welcome back, Sir Fent of Flenwick. Oh, is there a comma after welcome back, though? Before name. You need a comma after welcome if it's an introductory interjection or it's immediately followed by the name or another word directly. Yes, absolutely you do. Okay. And it's his full title, too. Flinzer winced. If he'd invoked his long-revoked knighthood, invoked his long-revoked? God. It meant he'd gotten far drunker than he thought. Thy beauty drew me back from death, he crooned, to cover his discomfort. Flattery is for slatterns. Conserve your breath, sir. My lady, I must confess, I am not a sir any more. In kind, I am no longer a lady. Liline took the skillet off the stove and turned on Flinzer with a smoldering look that made him forget all about his headache. Should that be 2 sentences? No. Time passed so agreeably that neither of them cared a whit when the eggs went cold. They ate together afterward, all smiles and sly glances. Flinzer found Liline uncommonly charming. All right. Flinzer found Liline uncommonly charming, even for an innkeep. He was in no great haste to depart. Past the thick drapes, the wind whipped and moaned. The tea was strong and sweet, spiced with rose hips and cinnamon. Liline's table had just one stool, so Flinzer dragged over an octave of kippered pickerel and perched upon it. Liline's table had just one stool, so Flinzer dragged over an octave of kippered pickerel and perched upon it. The place was packed to the rafters with provisions. God. Hello, number 13th. Have you missed out on all the sex? If you're just joining us now at 5:44 in the a.m. That's the only... Wait, no, there's more sex in the story, I guess. But you can tell the difference from my earlier writing to this one right here. My other book, like Gravid, or stuff, this would be like 2 pages of just fucking where each squelching thrust is described. But in this case, no. We just allude to the fact that they're screwing with this smoldering look and with this one line, like he acquitted himself reasonably well, which is something I didn't know how to do when I was younger. I was just so horn-dogging all the time that everything I wrote was pornography. But now I like the little, like, leaving it to the imagination, because my testicles have shriveled up like prunes, and I'm too old for all this screwing around. Which one got you? I get into the story, and all of a sudden, an octave of kippered pickerel. Yeah, this is the danger of writing this way. When we're writing to amuse ourselves, often we're not amusing the reader, right? But the story is written for people who want to see these weird turns of language here, and it's easy to get caught out because we're laser focusing on each line and each word and so forth. So we don't have the insight for where a reader will get derailed every single time. But it really is like just me continually throwing fences in front of the reader and being like, you got to jump over this to get to the story and so forth. This is not the right way to write a fantasy story, but I don't care. I really don't give a shit. So tell me, Sir Flint, why is Manky Moraney setting for manhunters so late in the season? Has another of his young wives run off with some swarthy stable hand? Oh, Moraney, getting cucked. I wouldn't blame them one bit if they had. But no, we're here for the big bounty. On me, it can't be much. Oh, I couldn't put a price on you. Liline beamed. Flinzer worried he was overdoing it. He had to leave, after all. Actually, we're after Three Wolf, Flinzer admitted. You're joking. In the blink of an eye, her demeanor went dry. The pivot seemed a touch abrupt to Flinzer, but perhaps that was only the haze of his hangover. Alas! A wordless conversation passed in simmering silence. A younger Flinzer might have mistaken this anger for ardor, but he knew better. A younger Liline might have screamed and thrown things to try and sway Flinzer from his course. They were ages past all that. Just my luck. I was starting to like you. You can start again in about an hour, Flinzer bluffed. Ha! You should be so lucky. No, I won't dig deeper into a dead man. I'm a widow twice over. Won't tempt twice. What a fool I was. The husk of regret haunted her voice. That's a lot to put in it. The husk of regret haunted her voice. I think husk has to go. Regret haunted her voice. That's fine. I also really like this chapter. I like also the contrast with the previous chapter. I like how Three Wolf was getting nowhere with her, right? And here you have, like, obviously a rapport between the two. It's cute. You should be so lucky. No, I won't dig deeper into a dead man. I'm a widow twice over. Won't tempt trice. What a fool I was. Regret haunted her voice. To his surprise, Flinzer shared her sentiment. Wasn't his... yeah, we need it there. We are really dropping a lot of... what is it? It is not a conjunction. I guess it is a pronoun. We're dropping a lot of pronouns and other connecty words, I guess conjunctions and stuff like that, because Flinzer was originally written with like a very clipped speech. You would see a lot of apostrophes at the beginning of his word. Like instead of around, he would say round with an apostrophe at the stop. Instead of upon, he would say pon. And it was too much. So I took it out at some point, but the memory remains. So when you see the clip speech, often it's not me forgetting a word, it's me omitting a word, and then deciding that I was dumb to do that. What was it, the Metallica thing? Just on the off chance that Effie is watching, I have to shoehorn in every Metallica reference I can. God, I can't believe we sent him a bossy hat, and he just oh, the ADHD is real. Yes, it is. But we sent so for those just tuning in, the whole section is strong, but it's moving a little too fast for me. There's a lot to digest very quickly compared with the rest of the book so far. Good place to add a little exposition. There used to be more in this chapter, and I cut it down. I think we could give it a read through. We really are info dumping a lot here, not in terms of exposition, but we're dumping a lot of emotion on the reader. And I think that's part of why we added chapter 3 to develop that character before she showed up. Because we went from he's a grizzled old man to like they fucking. And, like anytime that you introduce sex into the novel, if you don't develop it, it's just like, oh, I guess they're screwing now. Even if it's like this offhanded way. But here, let's think more about the goal of the chapter when we get down to it. We want to show that Flinzer has been duly warned, right? So again, if this is a tragedy, we need to have some sign from the gods like, hey, stop doing that, right? Ash and Dust. Oh shit, it's Choose Knowledge. Holy crow. It's been a long time since we've seen this chatter up on here. Yes, hello, Choose Knowledge. How are things in help me remember. Are you way out in the Czech Republic, or I'm not gonna dox you, but it was one of those countries that I like, but where I'm constantly robbed. I want to say, oh man, and it's insulting too if I guess Czech. Yes, since you're still such wow. Oh, okay. No, I was mistaking you for somebody else. Such wow, for a woman. But shout out to such wow, Ohio. Okay, yeah, such wow is the Grubhub driver, and the woman that I was thinking about, who I may have mistaken you for years on Choose Knowledge, was a very nice lady. Who I chatted with for a little bit, that sent me like a lot of gifts and so forth. Oh, now I remember her name. Oh, fuck. Whew. All right. Focus back. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. All right. To his surprise, Flinzer shared her sentiment. It wasn't his way to get... All right, so I like the idea... Bradius there, but I need more than that to start gelling some ideas. So if you can think about specific areas where exposition would be helpful, things that you want to know more about, keeping in mind this chapter is written with Flinzer in mind. Flinzer has also he's hungover at this point, so he's in the kind of bleary, like, I just got laid, like, yeah, but my head hurts. So he's a little bit in a fog there. So any exposition that we do has to be beset by the reality of that. And also, we added more backtracking in the last chapter. Like, chapter 1, enormous flashback, right? Chapter 3... Oh, wait, this isn't chapter... Fucking... Wait. Oh, no. Okay, cool. Thank God. It's the live edit that we're working on here. No, the other chapter should have been chapter 4. Yeah, this is chapter 5. Oh, thank God. I forgot that I needed to edit. I looked at 4, and I was like, how are you only on 4? What have I done to the earth? Because we're getting a chapter a day. So, um, so yeah, I'm open-minded to that idea, but I need some germ of an idea for how we'll do it. So we'll read back through this at the end of it here, because it's a good chapter. I want to see it again. I like that he struggles to remember her name, too. Actually, we're after Three Wolf, Flinzer admitted. In the blink of an eye, her demeanor went dry. The pivot seemed a touch abrupt to Flinzer, but perhaps that was only the haze of his hangover. Okay, we did the wordless conversation. I'll get him. Bounties are my business. There's bounty here. Liline patted her ample chest. Oh, God. There's bounty here. Liline patted her ample chest. All right, so we try not to do like heaving bosoms and so forth here. So I really want to think about whether we need to include the word ample here. I don't want to reduce this character to just a set of big tits. But at the same time, this seems like a good spot for the word ample for me. If it were only me, I would agree. But I've got 6 men to lead. Oh, no, let's read it with certainly. If it were only me, I would certainly agree. But I've got 6 men to lead. To their deaths. And yours. You're no match for that one, Flint. Yeah. You're no match for that one, Flinzer. Three Wolf is ancient. He knows the back of every leaf, the name of every beast. He's buried better than 100 men who came to claim him. Better men than you, if I'm being honest. Ooh. Damn. Just getting in there. Flinzer glanced back at the bed and swallowed some unkind things he might have said. She was likely right. All right. Flinzer glanced back at the bed and swallowed some unkind things he could have said. She was likely right. So, yeah, there you can see she says something where it's like a strong diss to this character. And then he's like, well, maybe I'll just like talk about what a whore you are. But he swallows it. And he's like, you know what? She's probably right. Which is, I really like who this character is in this particular chapter, because he's showing like a lot of restraint in different ways. What the swallowed some unkind things he could have said thing? Yes, I'm going to keep that guy. Cut those men loose and live. I can't leave them to the wind. Look at me, Flinzer. I'm old and fat, but I'm better than any bounty. Wasn't I good to you? Why would you trade my warmth for a throat? Oh, somebody wouldn't talk this way. Would you trade my warmth for a frozen grave? I almost don't buy that. Look at me, Flinzer. I'm old and fat, but I'm better than any bounty. Wasn't I good to you? Would you trade my warmth for a frozen grave? You'd trade my warmth for a frozen grave? All right, that's a little better. I'm not certain. So I like the fact that she is comparing, like, hey, you could have this big old woman crushing you against the bed, or you could be in a frozen grave. But I would tune it up a little bit more, but I don't have the answer right now. We just met, Flinzer said. It hurt her, and he felt a fool. The spark was undeniable. She was something special. There's a cold and lonely winter coming. I've got more than enough food for 2, or 10 for that matter. Look all around you. Indeed, Liline's cottage was supremely well stocked. There were neat rows of jar in the larder, fennel and garlic strung from the beams, barley and rye sacked in stacks, runlets of run and barrels of ale. Her home was clearly the overflow for the tavern. The widow didn't mind if her house was a warehouse, for she was all alone. Flinzer felt a pang of pity. She stepped closer. What have you got to show for all of it? Liline demanded. Nothing and no one. Flinzer was taken aback. Here he was, feeling sorry for her, and she'd slipped his guard and ran him through. The words dug so deep he nearly hit her. Liline's face was close to his, fearless. Flinzer saw she wanted to provoke him, wanted to excuse... An excuse to write him off and cover her ashes with emotions. Oh, no, no, no. Let's see. Flinzer saw she. I don't know if we need a comma there. All right. Lillian's face was close to his, fearless. Flinzer saw she wanted to provoke him, an excuse to write him off and cover her emotion with ashes. He leaned forward and planted a kiss on her lips. She broke it off with a half laugh. What a waste. There isn't a good man in this town. Still isn't. The light caught her icy eyes as she turned away. Flinzer was a fool. Every moment he lingered, twisted the knife. I feel like there should be a comma there, but prefer a comma, nothing. I thought the exact same thing there, Brongulus. Nothing, comma, and no one. All right, let's think this one through, right? So what do you have to show for it? He has nothing and he has no one. What work is the comma doing there? Besides injecting a pause. And that's the way that I read it too. I read it as if there was a comma there. Let's take a look. Nothing and no one. So it became popular there. I don't know how to format this with a comma. The comma makes it two related answers instead of one complicated answer. Does that actually work? It should be two related answers. So this is not about grammar. This is about taste. Let's try it both ways. Nothing and no one. Nothing and no one. Oh, yeah. It really is. That's not how I understand commas to work, but I'm going to take your word for it there. Even though it's not how my understanding is that commas are meant to be used, it does force the reader to take an additional tenth of a second or whatever to read it there. So it does create some space between those two words. So I'll take it. That's something I haven't thought about before, but just the act of like having the punctuation mark there is going to introduce additional processing time in the person. So if we can correctly, and that does seem like it'd be correct there, if we can correctly include a comma, we're building in some processing time. She broke it off with a half laugh. Still isn't. The light caught her icy eyes as she turned away. Oh, I don't like icy there. They were so blue. Flinzer was a fool. I like that. Now I think I like this a little bit better, right? The light caught her eyes as she turned. The light caught her eyes as she turned away. They were so blue. Flinzer was a fool. Every moment he lingered, twisted the knife. I like this a lot better. And if you ever got left by a woman with blue eyes, I think you would too. That's one that sticks in you for a long ass time. Ooh, I can still remember her name. Oh, yeah. And if you're out there watching this, don't email me. Oh, oh, oh. But what am I worried about women for anyway? The light caught her eyes as she turned away. They're so blue. Flinzer was a fool. Every moment he lingered, twisted the knife. Thank you, Flinzer said softly. And geez, I'm glad mine are green. Oh, green is even worse there. And then brown is pretty bad too. Just the thing is, any color of eye can break your goddamn heart. All right. The light caught her eyes as she turned away. They were so blue. Flinzer was a fool. I like the they were so blue. Flinzer was a fool too. What's wrong with green? All women with green eyes are crazy. By the way, I'm just putting it out there. Something about them Irish. All right, what do we got going on here? Every moment he lingered, twisted the knife. Thank you, Flinzer said softly. He got up to leave. She laid a hand on his arm. Please. Liline might have dropped her robe, so naked was her need. Once we get him, I'll come back to you. You won't. We'll see. Flinzer stepped out of the sanctuary, into the unwelcome morn. The wind cut right through him. Oof. Honestly, this is the strongest chapter in the entire book. Really. Let's see. I almost think we should just start with this chapter somehow. And we can break up the narrative. We really could just shuffle these chapters around and so forth. Let's see. It really is the strongest chapter in the book. All right, let's go. How long have we been at this? We've only been at this an hour. We could read back through this, but it'd be better to percolate and go on to the next chapter. Let's see. Yeah, it's a good chapter. It really, I think we could. It's got romance, it's got emotion, and so forth. This is the payoff of all the bullshit that you had to slog through to get here. And so this 1,300 words is all that we've got here. Is really, like, if we just cut out the rest of the stuff in the story and just had this 1,300 words, it's a decent piece of flash. Like, it sits on its own. So there's more later on. And keep in mind, this was not like the story that I wanted to write at all. The story originally, I just wanted to write about the guy with the wolves. And what we made him into like more of a legendary kind of in the distance figure. And what was my comment here? Let's see. Oh yeah, here's the exposition. Let's see, show more. Oh yeah. So initially in the in that chapter, we talked a little bit more about how young women would like go off into the woods and then come back knocked up by Three Wolf, right? And how like a lot of the people in the town had like a little bit of his likeness and so forth. He was like the patriarch of the town in a way. And I wound up cutting all that out because it just it didn't match with like how sweet the scene was otherwise. And we just moved away from that, and the story became more about Flinzer as we were working on it. So when originally we did have some exposition there, and it's just something where I'm like, this doesn't really track with where I want to get to. It was definitely track with my initial idea of what I wanted the story to be. But like as you write something, it sprawls and goes in its own direction. And if you too tightly try to constrain it to your original vision, then you'll break it. It's kind of like working with glass. No, it's not. It's not all like working with glass. What's it like working with? I don't fucking know. I guess it's more like a bonsai because pruning's so important and it takes so fucking long. Years and years of this. All right, so here's another chapter that opens with a question, like, what is a wolf? Like, and the problem was I started writing this before Matt Cocksucking Walsh came out with his like "What is a Woman" documentary. I do not want to shade any of this book with the sort of Gestalt understanding, like what is a wolf, what is a woman. I don't want to deal with like jokes about it. I just don't want to drag that mess into my thing here. Also, this should be italics. The direct question there. So we do this in a bunch of chapters, and I'm not sure that it's effective. So it could be something that we cut out here. Did we wait? Did we start another question with the chapter with a question? Let's see how these start out there. Let's see. Prologue. Now we start with 100 ducats for Three Wolf's Head. So there's one that starts with italics. And then when we get to chapter 2, From the Thicket. Okay, so that's just a regular chapter. And then chapter 3, Superb birds. Oh, Marini might be right. Okay. That one's okay. Doesn't start with this whole thing. And then absolutely not. I won't poison a patron. That one's good. Okay, so we don't do that too much. But as they're wandering around, I think all their chapters start with this question, like, "What's a wolf? What are they really all about?" So it doesn't seem too bad, but it's something that I'm keeping in mind. What was a wolf? What was a wolf? After 2 days of searching the winding westerly way, Flinzer was forced to admit he honestly didn't know. There we need a colon, I think. Flinzer was forced to admit it. He honestly didn't know. He'd naively assume wolves were just bigger, meaner dogs, and that they have little trouble trapping 3. Not so. That's also in italics. Okay. What was a wolf? After 2 days of searching the winding westerly way, Flinzer was forced to admit it. He honestly didn't know. Oh, I don't like. He'd naively assume. Yeah. Yeah, let's do a colon. He honestly didn't know. He'd naively assumed wolves. He'd naively assumed that wombs were just bigger, meaner dogs. No, Lord. He'd naively assumed wolves were just bigger, meaner dogs, and that they'd have little trouble trapping 3. Not so. These wretched wolves were artful dodgers, too canny and careful to catch. Mocking paw prints wove through strings of unsprung traps. Damn. Mocking paw prints wove through strings of unsprung traps. Piss streaks sneered against his piles of poisoned meat. Paw prints ran through thickets and dead-ended into streams. I don't like the overuse of Flinzer's flock. Flinzer's troop followed one set of tracks that terminated in the middle of a ravine, as if the wolf had leapt up to heaven to leer at them from behind the moon. After that one, superstitious Cocker the Stalker. What? No, that doesn't go in. Yeah, the Stalker has to come out. That's too much. Yeah, Artful Dodger is indeed that classic reference. I think it was like a piece of beat literature. Jack Dawkins is a character in no, it's from Oliver Twist. I haven't read Oliver Twist, so I'm not gonna get into it there. Yeah, I didn't know that one. Got me again there. Oh yeah, well, at least I took it out there. After that one, superstitious Cocker became. I want something else for superstitious. Credulous is a synonym for superstitious. Superstitious. Oh, that's what credulous means.
Credulous, 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 credulous.
Oliver Twist. Who was I thinking of? There was some Beat Generation thing where the guy called himself the Artful Dodger. Maybe he was like a graffiti writer or whatever. There.
Credulous.
This is not what I thought credulous meant. Oh, so and that's where incredulous. Is this the only marked or arising from credulity? Willingness to trust. Oh wow, I've used this word before, like wrong. Wow. Oh, well, that's great to know. So I think in my mind I was confusing credible with credulous. So you can see where. Oh my god. Hopefully I haven't. Yeah, credulity is gullibility. After that one, credulous Cocker became convinced they were pursuing not wolves, but evil spirits of some sort. No, I don't think we need of some sort. Credulous Cocker became convinced they were pursuing not wolves, but evil spirits. Ever skeptical, Stripes sighed and rolled his eyes. But he had no ready explanation either. I don't think we need to still. Ever skeptical, Stripes sighed and rolled his eyes. He had no ready explanation either. Stripes was a creature of the streets, reared in the squalid war quarter of Kaz before he was press-ganged into Cimmerian bondage. Ooh, yeah, that's shout-outs to all my homies press-ganged into Cimmerian bondage. Bloodux and Went were urbanites as well, still sullen after their fleeting treason. Ives and Ames were Eastern boys. Here. Ames and Ives were Eastern boys. They knew nothing of the frozen Yarliste. Went had been too tight-lipped since his departure. He knew a bit more. Okay. I'm actually picturing this as a play on a stage. Huh. I don't know. Later on, it becomes difficult to stage some of the things that happen here. I have never worked on like writing any kind of play or whatever. It's too old-fashioned for me. But this is kind of like an into the woods thing happening here. You're catching most of your own comma slices somehow. I feel proud. Yeah, man, I do slowly learn. Um, yeah, like you and Logic really hammered like a lot of this comma stuff into me. I highly appreciate it. I like that I also figured out on my own that that Credulous was like that through research. All right, what do we got? Went had been tight-lipped since his return. We say that a little bit earlier. I do like still sullen after their fleeting treason. We could use Flinzer wish went wasn't so taciturn. Flinzer wish went wasn't so fuck. Flinzer wish went wasn't Flinzer wish went. Oh, it keeps auto edit. No, don't fucking auto edit that, you cocksucker. Ugh. Auto edit is supposed to be off on this thing. Flinzer wish Went would pipe up. The little man knew a bit more brushcraft than the others, but not much. The ruddy red foxwolves of the Symbolwood were nothing like this, and the Symbolwood is in the Master Arcanist. If you want to read more about the ruddy red foxwolf, they're in one paragraph of there. I believe that area has a bunch of tribal savages called the Wendig, which is my dig at Chuck Wendig. Ugh. As the hunters searched the western wood, their eyes rose off into the sky, over wary that ain't. As the hunters searched the western wood, their eyes rose off into the sky. They'd grown over wary that any bird might be the advanced scout of another attack. Above all, they worried about the weather. I love there. It's like a little thing, but I love that above all, they worry about the weather. Because it is above all this. Above all, they worried about the weather. The snow was standoffish. The cold was constant. Yeah, we don't need the coat. We know that's cold. Um, the snow was standoffish, and the sky wait. Do we have sulk early? No, we do not have sulk earlier. There, we had. Above all, they worried about the weather. The snow was standoffish, and the sky skulked in unending gray for days. It felt like once the snow truly began, it would never end. Flinzer kept an eye out for a place to hole up if it started coming down. Skulked? Ooh. Oh, I don't know if you can say the sky is skulking. The snow was standoffish, and the sky skulked in unending gray for days. I I see what you're saying, but I don't think that the sky can skulk. When I think of the word skulking, I think of somebody in the shadows, kind of creeping along, because the sky is the firmament, like it's fixed in place. It's not moving. Clouds are moving. All right, let's look at exactly what skulk means. Okay, I live in Seattle. Skulk is to lie in hiding, as if for some evil reason, to move in a stealthy manner, which is the one that I thought of, which is slink. Um, the British is to shirk duty or to malinger. Uh, my sky skulks for 4 months of the year. I almost moved to Seattle. I love the rain, but I wouldn't love it for long if I lived there. I loved it in London too. Like I like rainy areas, but you will never find like a woman who shares that love of rainy ass. Hold on, let me fix something real quick. Custom color. No, that's as white as it can get. Oh, there we go. I can get a little wider. All right, so here. All right, now let's make the background of our OSX. Let me hide this fucking thing too. Turn hiding on. All right, there we go. Now we're professional. Sky skulks for. I'm gonna take your word for it that your sky is a skulking, but up to 14 right there. Yeah. All right, I like it. So here, are they different color? No, they're the same color now. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes it a little bit smoother on the stream. I don't. Anyhow, like the snow was standoffish. The sky skulked in unending gray for days. If we were doing this in British English and we could use their accepted meaning where the sky is malingering. Ooh. Let's try to work that in. It doesn't fit here, but like if we can have the sky malinger in unending grays for days. Oh man, I kind of like that. All right. Nah, this is just sky sulked. I do like malingering, but it's too much. Flinzer kept an eye open for a place to hole up if the blizzard began. So far, nothing would suit. The pack ought to turn back, and they knew it. Oh, no. The pack is too wolfy. All right, there we go. The bounty men ought to turn back, and they knew it. The trouble was, they loved the work. 7 left from 40, but they were the core, the ones who lived for the chase. The 7 hunters woke with a glint of glee in their eyes, a savor no setback could snuff. Men were made to hunt. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're just breaking up where we use hunter and bounty men because hunt, because men were made to hunt there. Okay, and then we need a comma after yet. The hunters ought to turn back, and they knew it. The trouble was, they loved the work. 7 left from 40, but they were the core, the ones who lived for the chase. The 7 bounty men woke with a glint of glee in their eyes, a savor no setback could snuff. Men were made to hunt. Yet this uncommon quarry gave them... I wonder if it'd be like, but this uncommon quarry. Oh shit, what's up, Captain Ron? It's been a bit there. Yeah, we out here editing, and I think we're on to chapter 6 now. Picking up steam. All right, cool. All right, there we go. Yet is butter. All right, let's go with yet. Because unfortunately, too, yet the quarry gave them nothing to go on. The troops' focus fell increasingly on Flinzer, but he was out of his element. But he, too, was out of his element. Do we have a comma? But he, too, was out of his element. It doesn't seem right. The troops' focus fell increasingly on Flinzer. We don't need increasingly. All right, yeah. The troops' focus fell on Flinzer, but he too was out of his element. The true trick of bounty hunting was sympathy. Flinzer's tact was to see through the eyes of his okay. Yet the mark gave them nothing to go on. Oh, I like that, where they use mark and because we're going to use quarry later. Yeah, actually, let's take that out there. I like seeing through the eyes of his mark. Flinzer's tact was to see through the eyes of his mark, guess where they'd go, be there first, and spring on them. He'd done it 1,000 times. A man on the run was reduced to his most essential element. Strong men ran for a time, lost patience, and inevitably turned back for a scrap. Strong men ran for a time, lost patience, and inevitably, turned back for a scrap. Yeah. Clever men tried too many tricks and usually wound up outsmarting themselves. Cowards flew as fast and far as they could. And wore themselves out? All right, let's see. Cowards flew as fast and far as they could and wore themselves out. They kept accumulating shadows until they were pursued by an army of their own devising. Flinzer had seen plenty of chickens wheeze with relief when their head hit the block. The weak and indecisive hid. It was great fun finding them. Flinzer. Yeah, we don't need his flock there. Just if we do one service in this entire edit is removing 90 instances of Flinzer's flock. Flocks are like sheep and birds. They're not bounty hunters. If there is a... Oh, I'd like to find something better than Flinzer's flock that is FF. Faculty. All right, let's 74 collective nouns starting with F. A faculty of academics, Flinzers, a fall of lambs, family, pharaoh of piglets, Fesneing of ferrets, festival of balloons, Fascines of pheasants. I like Fascine. Fixie, fitting, field, Flinzer's flamboyance, flange. Oh, I like a flange of baboons. It's cool. Flap of nuns, fleet, flick, flight. Wheeze means something highly specific. So is the wheeze always the... I can't make it. All right. Fuck, I use wheeze all the time. Flinzer's flock is what we wound up with. Flotilla, flush, fold. Oh, I kind of like Flinzer's fold. Fraunch. I like fold a little bit. All right, let's use that if we... Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we can use wheeze with relief, right? But I did not know that it always meant the like whistling noise from wheeze. Because I would use it like, like I would call that a wheeze. Let's look it up. To breathe with difficulty and with a whistling sound. To make a sound resembling difficult breathing. Okay. So the secondary part the secondary definition doesn't include an explicit whistling there, but it definitely, it looks like the primary one has a whistling sound. That's good info for me. I'm going to give you a point for it because I did not know that. The weak and indecisive hid. It was great fun finding them. Flinzer could catch them all one way or another. But it was increasingly clear. But it became clear they were not woodsmen and certainly not wolves. So I could take out the and there and make... But it became clear. It became clear here. I would almost put a comma there. Oh, okay. No, we don't need that as part of the whole phrase. But it became clear they were not woodsmen and certainly not wolves. They hadn't even caught a glimpse of one, much less three wolf. Flinzer had never tracked a legend before. Okay, cool. Did three wolf even exist? Was the whole thing just a snipe hunt for suckers? Perhaps the Sunnysiders would all laugh when Flinzer's pack stumbled back, frostbit and empty-handed. So here we can use Flinzer's pack because we're doing it. We identify that it's Flinzer's pack. Stumbled back, frostbitten, empty-handed. I like that they're both frostbitten and empty-handed. You get the mental image of them missing some fingers there. Flinzer was second-guessing himself, wondering if... He was second-guessing himself, wondering if he... yeah. He second-guessed himself and wondered if he even wanted to find the fugitive anymore. He could hang it all up, break up the band, and slink back, hat in hand, to shack up with Leline. Oh. Come on. He could hang it all up, break up the band, and slink back, hat in hand. Oh, no. Oh, there's another comma there. Fuck, look at all the commas in this sentence. This is nonsense. He could hang it all up, break up the band, and slink back, hat in hand, to shack up with Leline. Perhaps the spark was strong enough to survive being crammed together in a cottage for a winter. Probably not. Okay, cool. Let's go back for this whole thing. Whew. How long have we been at this? Yeah, this is more like it, where we should be putting like a couple hours into this edit every day if we want to make progress. So if you're just joining us here, by the way, you can get points for accepted edits. And whoever has the most points will get a brand new one of these hats. So don't be shy. Get up in there. Also, we're far enough along too that if you are writing something yourself and you want me to take a gander at it, or you want some advice on something, why you would take my advice, I don't know. But I have been doing this for 20 plus years, so I know a little bit, but not a lot. What have you got to show for it? Idle thoughts seeped into the spaces between his steps. They were in the forest primeval now, in places where the pines grew so tall, noon turned to twilight. A deep carpet of needles stole the sound of their steps. The path beneath their boots was banded from jade to black like malachite. The path beneath their boots was banded from jade to black like malachite. They crept through the frozen wild, surrounded by plants they could not name, and bent their heads at... called by birds they'd never heard before. Okay, cool. They crept through the frozen wild, surrounded by plants they could not name, called by birds. What's a word for somebody like hollers out at you? I think called like almost like serenaded. Let's see if there's something closer to serenaded. Nocturne song. You want a word kind of similar to like courted or something like that. Well, let me just make sure that these are all... Oh, who's hollering at me in the JRE? Wait, who wants me to... Samaritan says, Load, watch us live on your stream for inspiration. Load, will you wake up? No. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch a guy getting his pustules whatevered. That's not what I'm all about here. All right, let's serenaded is not... Oh, I like trilled at. They crept through the frozen wild, surrounded by plants they could not name, trilled at by birds they'd never heard before. I like that. On point, Cocker barged through the bush. On point, Cocker barged through the brush. Ahead, a shaft of light broke through the trees and lit a cairn. Ahead, a shaft of light broke through the trees. Ahead, a shaft of light broke through the trees and lit a cairn. Is it cairn or cairn? I think it's cairn. Oh, God damn it.
Cairn.
Yeah, cairn. All right, Karen. Ahead, a shaft of light broke through the trees and lit a cairn capped by a weathered standing stone. Cocker scouted forward, hand on his sword. He halted 20 paces in. He halted 20 paces into the clearing. "20 paces into the clearing, he halted. Okay, cool. Skulls! Cocker hissed. Cocker scouted forward, hand on the handle of his sword. 20 paces into the clearing, he halted. Skulls! Cocker hissed. He drew his sword. Let me see. So, hold up. A standing stone, stand. It isn't on top of a cairn. In this case, the cairn is built around the standing stone. So it's not on top of the cairn. It's jutting from the standing stone. So maybe a shaft of light broke. Let's try that. Oh yeah, I like that better. That's a good one. And it also gets us some bonus alliteration. Welcome to the club. All right, so now you're in yet another. I think you're in this one. Choose knowledge. Hold on, let's take a look. Let's see. Yes, choose knowledge. You had 3 in Zeros right here. So welcome back to the club. How did Bradius not get in on Zeros? That one seems like that one you would have loved. I think you were busy with some other shit. But we got to make your name small. Instead of making your name smaller, let's just make the thing bigger. Boom. Boom. Everybody's important. All right. That's a good edit though. I like that. Anywhere we can avoid like ahead, comma, is good. Did you just join for long enough to get 1 point? Was that your goal for today? Because you wanted to be in the book? Oh, well. I mean, just being in the book also means that I will send you a free copy of the book that's signed by me. Just FYI. Everybody who, I think I did that last time. Everybody who submitted edits, I will send you a free copy of this book. So, but I'm very lazy about it. Like I've been meaning to mail out stickers for like 3 months. Ugh. I need an assistant so bad to do this. All right, where are we at? Skulls! Cocker hissed. He drew his blade and backed away towards the others. No, we don't need the towards the other. He drew his blade and backed away. He drew his blade and backed away. The others followed suit. Swords slid from scabbards, arrows knocked, and buttocks unslug his. What? I can't talk. It's fun to watch while I'm drinking coffee. I agree. This is fun to watch somebody struggle. It's like this whole story is like a turtle that's like flipped on its back, and I'm like, the whole 20 hours it's going to take to edit this. Skulls, Cocker hissed. He drew his blade and backed away. The others followed suit. Swords slid from scabbards, arrows knocked, and Bloodaxe unslung his big battle axe. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Chekhov's gun. What is it, Cock? The place is cursed. There's skulls. Okay, cool. I should have been in the credits for Zeros because you sent me the draft and asked me to look over it for science and math errors. I did so, and there was nothing serious to report. Holy shit, I forgot all about that. Well, you are there in spirit, so if you want an autographed copy and your Zeros patch, let me know, and I will send them with your hat. Assuming you win the hat. Yeah, like I actually told people when I was trying to sell the book, I'm like, yeah, I had this checked over by a professor of mathematics. So I'm glad that I was able to do that without any. I mean, when we say that there's nothing serious to report, I mean, there are like gravity generators in that. There are like magnetic fields capable of like holding back the plasma of the sun and so forth. I think our main thing was that the hypervelocity combat, I think for the most part, tracks with how objects would act in space, but Lord only knows. Yeah, ever since that what is it? The Expanse stuff came out, like all your space combat has to be hyper realistic. It's the Vogue. Vogue. All right, what do we got there? The others followed suit. Swords slid from scabbards, arrows knocked, and Bloodaxe unslung his big battle axe. Hell yeah. What is it, Cock? Flinzer whispered. This place is cursed. There's skulls pinned to the trees. All right. Fan out. Ives, Ames, Bloodaxe. Left. Ames, Ives, Bloodaxe. Left. Went, me, and Stripes go right. Cocker, keep watch here. Bows and blades. Sound off if you see it. I think blows. Let's take that out. I don't think bows and blades adds anything. Let me see. You have to allow artists to do what they do. It's a word for this that's escaping me at the end. It's not salutary neglect. It was a noblesse oblige. Noblesse oblige. Yeah, I guess you have to afford some leeway to people that are goofing. What is it when you humor a child? I think that's what it is, Rongulus. Artistic license is what you want? As soon as you put artistic, I'm sure. Oh, but there's only 4 blanks there. Maybe that's all that they would let you put it in. But yeah, I think it falls under that. I mean, it's science fiction, not science fact. But yeah. Cocker, keep watch here. Sound off if you see anything. Don't shoot each other. Don't shoot each other. Circle round. Care for any kind of tripline or trap. Meet back here. Flinzer snapped off his orders rapidly. Flinzer snapped off orders, and the hunters set to at once. They swept the area around the clearing with great... Flinzer snapped off orders, and the hunters set to at once. They swept the brush around the clearing with care and found themselves back where they'd begun. Flinzer squinted up into the trees, at last satisfied. Okay, so here we're taking out. Flinzer is like satisfied. There's no ambush waiting for him. We want that like diffuses tension there. We want to like build up the tension. Like, what the fuck is going on? There's skulls. Ill at ease, Flinzer squinted up into the trees, and this is a callback to chapter 3, where he has like an inherent notion that Three Wolf is a place, but it's just like a hunch at the back of his neck. Find anything? Find anything? Cocker asked. Few wolf tracks and a pile of crap at the west. Not fresh. No boot prints, Ives reported. Saw that. There's a path that heads due north we should check out. Saw that. There's a path that heads due north. No tracks. Few wolf tracks and a pile of crap at the path to the west. Not fresh. No boot prints, Ives reported. Saw that. There's a path. Can I say untrod path? There's also an untrod path that heads due north. No tracks. Might not. There's also a faint path that heads due north. No tracks. Might be nothing. Let's have a look at these skulls, Flinzer said. He felt no purchase on his words. The men were not with him. Poor though that they were, core or not, trifling with curses was too big an ask. Oh, I like that. I like that he recognizes his men are not on board with the. Like, I'm not getting near them skulls. What the hell? He felt no purchase on his words. The men were not with him. Trifling with curses was too big an ask. All right, Cocker, come with me. Rest of you can stay. Hell, why me? Because if it's cursed, you're hexed already. Cocker went pale, but he could not refute Flinzer's logic. Um, refute is like a lot there. Oh, I think counter is fine. Yeah, counter is good. Cocker went pale, but he could not. But Cocker went pale, but he could not counter Flinzer's logic. Cocker went pale, but he could not refute Flinzer's logic. Ooh, now let's stick with a refute. It works better with the comma. Somehow, like it's weird, like how much of the like how much of the flow of the sentence can be altered by like that tiny little pause. Cocker went pale, but he could not refute Flinzer's logic. They crept into the silent clearing. 4 ancient yews marked the borders, hollowed by. The trunks were hollowed by great age. Time untold had scoured the corner. All right, let's try it. 4 ancient yews marked the border. The trunks were hollowed, but that's something that happens to yew trees. Yeah, refute is like a little better there. Like I see the logic of swapping a counter, but this refute Flinzer's logic just sounds better to mine ear. Time untold had scoured the corners from the standing stone, and it slanted slightly towards the northern yew. The cairn stones had shifted and tumbled. The cairn stones had shifted and tumbled. Flinzer suspected it was a pyramid once. Likely that obelisk was once razor sharp, with its points perfectly aligned to the cardinal directions. He had no clue who or what was buried here, and did not intend to find out. Okay, cool. They turned their attention to the display of skulls. A ring of white paper birch trees grew at the periphery of the clearing. 7 arrows were shot through. 7 skulls hung. Seven arrows were sunk into their trunks. Oh, yeah. 7 arrows were sunk into their trunks. 7 skulls hung from the shafts by their sockets. There was a morbid symmetry. The arrows were arranged in a semicircle. Oh, yeah, this is too much. I like morbid symmetry. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna take apart this whole thing. I'm sure it needs an M dash, but oh yeah, that's not gonna stay whole. There was a morbid symmetry. Each arrow was sunk dead center into its trunk. Okay. 7 arrows sunk into the trees with 7 skulls hanging from their sockets. With each skull. All right, let's look at that. Oh yeah, Mm. Seven arrows. Seven trees had arrows shot into their trunks. A skull hung from each shaft by its socket. Okay. Forget what I said. This is good. Okay, let's read it out now. They turned their attention to the display of skulls. A ring of white paper birch. Oh no! Oh, that was just me stepping on the. I didn't lose my voice. I just stepped on the connector. That there's like a headphone extender thing under my foot, and I'm like stomping on it for some reason. They turned their attention to the display of skulls. A ring of white paper birch trees grew at the periphery of the clearing. 7 trees had arrows shot into their trunks. A skull hung from each shaft by its socket. There was a morbid symmetry. Each arrow was sunk dead center on its trunk. All right. I don't know that tracks. They turn their so every time we do like some kind of geometric or like visualizing space, like these are always like the hardest ones where it's really difficult to get spatial stuff exact in a story to where the reader can picture it. They turned their attention to the display of skulls. A ring of white paper birch trees grew at the periphery of the clearing. 7 trees had arrows shot into their trunks. A skull hung from each shaft by its socket. There was a morbid symmetry. Each arrow hit the trunk dead center. They all hung at the same height. Flinzer and Cocker examined the leftmost skull first. It was scratched all over. Yeah, so scored is just too open to interpretation. I like the fact that it's scored, and also scored implies that it implies like an evenness and an intent that is not there because these were picked apart by vultures. Look at the marks. That's not wolves or bears, Flinzer remarked. Too triangular. Maybe some kind of ritual knife? I don't like the ritual knife thing. Agreed. Ives, Ames, there's no curse. Get over here and take a look at this. Ames, Ives, there's no curse. Get over here and take a look at this. Reluctantly, the pair agreed. Obeyed. Reluctantly, the pair came into the clearing. I'm thinking vultures. This look familiar to you? Flinzer asked. Flinzer beckoned them closer. Scratch might be carved. Well, it's not carved. Yeah, they were bitten up by a bunch of vultures. Ives, Ames, there's no curse. Get over here and take a look at this. I'm thinking vultures. I think it's vultures. Flinzer beckoned them closer. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 I like that better. Marks bit deep into the bone. Okay, cool. I like that a little bit better. I'm gonna give Captain Ron a. I'm gonna give you a point here, Captain Ron. One, to get you into the book, and two, because like we wound up changing up Scratch a little bit, and you set me down that path. Marks bit deep into the bone. Look at these. That's not wolves or bears, Flinzer remarked. Agreed. Ives, Ames, Ives. There's no curse. Get over here and look at this. I think it's vultures. Flinzer beckoned them closer. The shepherds approached. Okay, cool. Flinzer beckoned them closer. The shepherds were almost as superstitious as Cocker. They approached slowly, peered at the scratched up skull, and consulted with each other in Solcaric. And hushed Solcaric. Okay, cool. Yep, Sky Barrel. Yep, Sky Burial, Ives announced. What's that? And we're just ripping this directly from Tibetans. Um, what's that? It's like a, how do you pronounce gibbet? Is it gibbet? Or gibbet?
Gibbet. Gibbet.
Gibbet. Hold on. I think I looked this up also. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So gibbets were, I think, originally not people. They didn't just put people in cages and let them die. Although in some places, I'm sure they did that. It's like a gibbet for the living. They chain you to a rock, and the vultures come and pick you apart. What the hell crime do they do that for? That's some punishment. What do you have to do to get that? It's for witches and shapeshifters. Can't bury them. They'll spring back to life and crawl out of their grave. Can't burn them up. They reform from dust. They reform from dust 1 year later. If their body's in the belly of 100 birds, they can't come back. Shapeshifters! You Solkarites are such savages, Flinzer shook his head. The old ways are wisest, Ames shrugged. Hey, Flins, look at this. Strikes. All right, so let's. We're just kind of like breezing through because we're almost out of mana. But also, everybody had to go to work. It's just me and two people. Holler if you're still there. I think I'm one of those two people, but I'm going to finish the chapter. The shepherds were almost as superstitious as Cocker. They approached slowly. Oh, what are both of y'all? All right, so it's not just me. They approached slowly, peered up at the scratched up skull. Peered at the scratched up skull. Scratched up is hyphenated. They approached slowly, peered at the scratched up skull, and spoke together in hushed Solcaric. Yep, Sky Burial, Ives announced. What's that? It's like a gibbet for the living. They chain you to a rock and the vultures come and pick you apart. Ooh, loving it. That's some punishment. What do you have to do to get that? It's for witches and shapeshifters. Can't bury them. They'll spring back to life and crawl out of their grave. Can't burn them up either. They reform from dust 1 year later. 1 year later. If their body's in the belly of 100 birds, they can't come back. Shapeshifters! You Solkarites are such savages. Flinzer shook his head. The old ways are wisest, Ames shrugged. Hey, Flins, look at this, Stripes called over from the rightmost skull. There's no comment there. Shot into the rightmost tree was not one arrow, but three, in an equilateral triangle. The skull's back was broken off, and it hung like a mask, with shafts through both eyes and the wide-open jawbone. We don't need to use equilateral there. Even though it is an equilateral triangle, it's too much. Oh, that's much better. Hey, Flins, look at this. Stripes called over from the rightmost skull. It was pinned to the tree with not one arrow, but three. Shafts shot through both eyes and the wide-open jaw in a perfect triangle. Gray moss hung from its mouth. Think that one's meant to be me? Flinzer guessed. What a garish flourish. Cocker sniffed and spat. You don't approve of the archery, Captain Cock? Stripes raised an eyebrow. Oh, yeah. Stripes sniped. Narcissistic mark. Oh, we can't have narcissistic because there's no Narcissus in this. I'm keeping it, but I also can't spell narcissistic. There we go. You don't approve of the archery, Captain Cock? Stripes sniped. Narcissistic marksmanship, I call narcissistic. What? Fuck me. Narcissistic marksmanship, I call it. Anyone can do that. Plus, why bother with skulls? The arrows alone are enough to get the message across. Now let's get the point across. The arrows alone are enough to get the point across. Big talker cocker. Look at that trunk behind the bones, you bald-faced blatherskite. You see any other holes? No? That means he sank that tryout on his first attempt. I could do the same. Then do it, Stripes challenged. Waste of arrows. You lying, backsliding louse. You'd burn your whole quiver trying. Look at how straight those shafts are shot. That's his eye level, 8 feet up. When you yourself can't pronounce it, you know you're doing it right. It's because I'm high on narcissistic marksmanship. See, now I can do it. You just need like a little whatever. I don't like to include Greek myth in my stories, but there's no equivalent of narcissistic, right? Yeah, let's take a look. Self-centered, conceited archery, self-centered archery, egotistical archery. See, like, and the other thing is too, like the whole idea of like the ego and the id and so forth, that doesn't really necessarily happen in a world without Freud. We're keeping it, but like it's a spot where if anybody is still, no, I want blatherskite. Let me make sure I'm saying that one right too. This is another one that I've only ever seen in books. A person giving the voluble, empty talk. It's good.
Blatherskite.
Yeah, I have it right when I say blatherskite. Oh, it's so stupid. I am a dunce among dunces. All right. Why even bother with the skulls? The arrows alone are enough to get the point across. There we go. Oh yeah, blatherskite's a good one. Blatherskite. They're bloviating. Like you could call somebody a bloviating blatherskite if you really feel like it. That was a serious bag of hot air there. Mm. Big talker cocker. Look at the trunk behind the. Look at the trunk behind the bones, you bald-faced blatherskite. You see any other holes? No? That means he sank the triad on his first attempt. That means Three Wolves sank that triad on his first attempt. I could do the same. Then do it, Stripes challenged. Waste of arrows. You lying, backsliding louse. You'd burn your whole quiver trying. Look at how straight those shafts are shot. That's his eye level, 8 feet up. Maybe he stood on the cairn and shot. Stood on that cairn and shot. Yeah, I want to swap this with Rock Pile. Um, uh, da, 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 da. Let me see. Yeah, and oh yeah, Sank is absolutely right there. Okay, Brady is getting in there. Maybe he stood up on the cairn and shot. He stood on a pile of rocks and sank a perfect triangle. Stripes pressed. It's possible, but not probable. Flinzer leaned in to kill the tension. So this Three Wolf is a colossal crack shot, which means, boys, we can't find a bloody giant. Mm. Oh, I wonder. I wonder if that's just a comma there. So we got the colon there. I don't know about that colon. So this Three Wolf is some colossal crack shot, which means, boys, we can't find a bloody giant. It's a setup for sure. No sign of this Three Wolf. Second colon in the same chapter, that's a little sus. Yeah. Well, sometimes, maybe there's two colons because this chapter's the shit. Hell yeah. Oh, no. It's a setup for sure. No sign of this Three Wolf. I say he's baiting us onto the wrong direction, towards this overwrought threat. We're being played, waylaid onto the westerly way, Cocker argued. Cool. I like for. Oh shit! Is that you, Meep Sheep? Holy crow! How did you even? You must have subscribed to this shit there. What's going on at in Brazil this very moment? I will probably be in Brazil this December, Meep Sheep. Probably like in the Sao Paulo area. So if you want to holla, I'll probably be there for like Christmas or whatever. There's no cactus in the story, but there's like a Waylon Jennings thing happening with this Three Wolf character. So maybe you could relate. What do we got there? It's a setup for sure. No sign of this Three Wolf. No, I don't. understand what work no sign of this three wolf is doing there. It's a setup for sure. I say, comma, he's baiting us into the wrong direction. Yeah. Oh, you'll be moving back around December. Oh, are you coming back to America? Oh, good luck. Yeah, that's right. You're moving back around December. Wait, are you moving back to Sao Paulo or you're moving back to the United States? So congratulations if so. Did you two get like married yet? Good Lord. Yeah, it's not yeah, holler at me. Outside of a public venue if you need any info from yours truly on that whole whatever. I have some knowledge, but not enough as it seems. All right, there we go. Yeah, so, oh, you're moving back to Carlton? That's good. Yeah, I think that's a lot for you to be like hanging out in the favelas and so forth. That's a good idea. Let me see. Which means we can't find a bloody giant. All right, I like that better. I did like the boys because it was a little like, boys, we can't find a bloody giant, but it's a little too cape shit. It's a setup for sure. I think he's baiting us under the wrong direction towards this overwrought threat. We're being played, waylaid to the west. Okay, let's have these trees. Let me see. Dead west, 7 trees. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So he's putting he like is pointing this, he's trying to lead them with these skulls, but they are not falling for it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. La da la da la da. All right, there we go. Flinzer tugged his beard and peered. There's 2 piers in this thing, and let's get the other pier out of there because that pier rhymes. Yeah, so they'll stare at that skull, and then we'll Well, Meep, if you have time, you could fly to LRHCon in September, September 8th through September 12th. So if you get your act together by then, you can just move up in September. It could be your triumphant return. All right, what do we got there? Flinzer tugged his beard and peered at his mossy counterpart. I'm with Cocker here, Flinzer surprised them all. So our man walked all the way to some vulture-pecked open-air graveyard and lugged these skulls back. For what? That's a lot of money to be spent if I'm playing back to us to fly back for a few months after it. No, I'm just saying, just move up your timeline so that you're here in September, and then you can make it to LRHCon, and it's back to school. So you don't want to miss the first LRHCon. Jesus. Although we don't have any budget to like fly people in. We couldn't even bring Dwayne because he doesn't have a passport. If somebody wants to like smuggle him across the border, also it's a long way from Winnipeg. Like he couldn't. I offered to buy him a bus ticket, but he doesn't have a passport, and probably couldn't get one. And they wouldn't let him back into Canada either. They'd be like, no, don't come back here. So he'd be stranded in upstate New York. But yeah, man, that's going to be the LRH event of the year. I'm actually going to start working on securing a place to put everybody. So, let me see. LRHCon is going to be in a... No. Like, LRHCon is most people who are... I think all the people who I trust with my life are going to be in like a nice cabin, and then everybody else is going to shack up in motels and stuff so that we spread out the liability a little bit. Because if some shit goes down, I only want to be on the hook for... Man, maybe I need insurance for this fucking thing. I'll look into it. But yeah, there's going to be basically... You can chill at the flop house with like certain undesirables. They're not undesirable. It's just some people are too crazy to put up anywhere but like a Motel 6. Or like some people are going to be at the main cabin, but that's only about 10 people that are going to be at the main cabin, and they're the ones least likely to burn the place down, in my estimation. Right? I think that's fair. You need like some degree of compartmentalization with a bunch of drug addicts who are all going to bring guns. And many have outstanding warrants, and it's a thing. So I'm with Cocker here. Flinzer surprised them all. So our man walked all the way to some vulture-pecked open-air graveyard and lugged these skulls back here. For what? Why warn us? If he's such an amazing archer, he ought to just pick us off from afar. It doesn't add up. Maybe he's injured or too old to fight. He just scares people off, Stripes supposed. How old are these skulls? Flinzer asked the Sulkerites. Hard to tell. They've been in the sun for a while. Maybe spring by the bleaching, Ives assessed. Ames nodded in agreement. So he's showing off his spring crop of bounty hunters. So, he's showing off his spring crop of bounty hunters to warn us this is our fate. He hopes we'll lose heart and turn tail. Supposing he's right? How wise is it to keep coming after a giant witch who doesn't leave footprints, who can summon up a storm of crows? All right, that's enough. We don't need to put in the... Supposing he's right. How wise is it to keep coming after a giant witch who doesn't leave footprints? Cocker questioned. It's not smart, Flinzer agreed. I'll tell you though, boys. It grates on me greatly to know this macabre braggart believes he can spook us with this... Oh my god. It's awful. Can't even get through it. This macabre braggart believes he can spook us with some sordid septet of skulls. If anything, it makes me more inclined to hunt him down. Pride has no place in pursuit, Stripes admonished Flinzer with his own axiom. Flinzer jut his lip at the rebuke, but Stripes was surely right. Wise words, Flinzer allowed. So we're turning back? Cocker pressed. No! And this is also like a little too action. Oh my god! Did you get what got you? Was it macabre braggart or sordid septet of skulls? Ooh. Pride has no place in pursuit, Stripes admonished Flinzer with his own axiom. Flinzer jut his lip at the rebuke, but Stripes was surely right. Wise words, Flinzer allowed. So we're turning back? Cocker asked. No, Stripes and Flinzer said simultaneously. I found something, Went called from the north. All right, cool. So that is that chapter, and we fucking made it. All right, so what is the note for the next chapter? Oh, Road Deaf Sunlot. That's where I was coming up with the name. All right, so the next chapter is a three-wolf chapter. So I'll give you like a little sneak peek to get you all coming back. They were fools, indifferent to well-intentioned intimidation, utterly unaware that their quarry was among them. High above the Senvin hunters, Rodef perched in a well-concealed tree stand and listened to the voices of the men who meant to behead him for the first time. Okay, that needs some work. All right, thank you for making it through this. We did 2.5 hours of editing on this one, and both of these chapters were stronger than the one that preceded them. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's Assorted Septet of Skulls. That's staying in. Oh, it's so bad. It's just somebody should just fucking belt me every time I'm typing that. Just stand behind me. No. But yeah, here you can see the Hebrew for Rodef Semelot, which is White Wolf or Skirt Chaser, which is this guy's name, which is a little bit from the original conceit of the story, which had like a lot more to do with him fathering illegitimate children, but the story didn't turn out that way. All right, so we are more than halfway through the thing, and hopefully we'll be able to finish this up in another day or two. Thank you all for joining into the stream. Don't forget that there is an LRH tonight. If you don't know what LRH is, you're not in the stream because there's only 2 people watching. So everybody knows what it's all about. Come on down for that LRH. Reminder, and tell everybody, we are not on YouTube this week because Dab Guy fucking copyright struck the channel. So we have to go on like DLive or Odyssey or Rumble or whatever nonsense. But I can't be stopped. I'll just spin up other accounts. I don't give a shit. All right, so see you all there. Penis bomb.